Well, listen, if the Supreme Court eventually says that states or the Congress can't pass universal background checks or can't take these assault weapons off the streets, I think there's going to be a popular revolt over that policy. A court that's already pretty illegitimate is going to be in full crisis mode.
Oh no! The people without guns will revolt on the people with guns. How terrifying. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut on Sunday warned of a popular revolt in the U.S. if the Supreme Court blocks legislative efforts to tighten gun laws like their universal background checks and bans on commonly used AR-15 rifles. The Connecticut politician sounded the alarm on NBC's Meet the Press days after a federal judge in Virginia rightfully ruled that a law that prohibited licensed federal firearm dealers from selling handguns to responsible young adults under the age of 21 is a direct violation of the Second Amendment and is therefore unconstitutional. Common sense says if they are old enough to serve in the armed forces, then they are old enough to own a gun. Chris Murphy, who sounded the alarm predicting a popular revolt, was the lead negotiator in last year's bipartisan feel-good gun safety bill that literally did nothing, said judicial action threatened to derail progress lawmakers have made in regulating firearms. Virginia District Court Judge Robert Payne ruled last week a ban on selling guns to 18 to 20-year-old buyers would illegally impose limitations on the Second Amendment that do not exist with other constitutional guarantees. The ruling was philosophically in line with the historic 2022 High Court decision that overturned New York's unconstitutional concealed carry restrictions. Chris Murphy added, "A court that is already pretty illegitimate is going to be in full crisis mode." Well, Chris Murphy should be ashamed of himself as a United States Senator, characterizing the Supreme Court as illegitimate. Each justice was nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate. If he believes any of them is not fit to serve, he should seek to have him or her removed. Otherwise, he should make better use of his time and propose and pass legislation that is not unconstitutional and does not go against the Second Amendment. It's not the fault of the court that the U.S. Constitution guarantees the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Listen to his entire segment on guns here.
I want to talk about the issue of guns. And look, this has been something that that you've been working on for quite some time, trying to find small increases in gun regulations or big ones. We saw another court ruling that essentially invoked and said, hey, there's just not much you could do because of the Second Amendment, this absolutist version and interpretation of the Second Amendment. Given that we have a court system that this is what it's going to be, how do you tackle gun regulation under this environment? Do you go for a constitutional amendment, or do you just hope judges' philosophies change over the next generation?
Right now, the Supreme Court has made it clear, under the Heller decision, which still controls, they say there's a right to private gun ownership, but there is also an ability for Congress to regulate who owns weapons and what kind of weapons are owned. I think we have to continue to operate under that construct, and I really see progress, right? We broke a 30-year logjam last year by passing the first major gun safety initiative. You're seeing Republican states like Tennessee looking at red flag laws, Texas considering raising the age to buy assault weapons. I think our movement is in a position to win. Does it worry me what some of these district courts are doing? Absolutely. But right now, I think our focus has got to be growing the movement and continuing to capitalize on the progress of last year.
But it does sound like you got to do it within the construct of, look, you're probably not going to be able to regulate much having to do with access to the gun by anybody over 18.
Well, listen, if the Supreme Court eventually says that states or the Congress can't pass universal background checks or can't take these assault weapons off the streets, I think there's going to be a popular revolt over that policy. A court that's already pretty illegitimate is going to be in full crisis mode.
Subscribe to our channel because we the people are endowed by our Creator with these unalienable rights: life, liberty, and guns.